As you know, China's good at building tunnels, bridges, and transportation routes in general, so the country is once again taking on a tough project. Bridges, one of which is breaking records, tunnels stretching several miles through mountains, one tunnel was even dug right next to a volcano. All this complex infrastructure is part of one big project. And there was also a record-breaking tunnel boring machine with a 49-foot diameter, massive power, and weighing 4,000 tons. By the way, it was made specifically for this project, showing just how important this new transport route is for China. Another important thing, the Chinese project is being carried out in Georgia. Yes, you heard that right. The Chinese are building their megatunnels and bridges, as well as setting records abroad. Let's figure out why China needs a project in another country and what it's all about. This is how mineral water is produced in Georgia. Due to the geological features, there are over 730 mineral springs scattered across the country, giving the population access to a huge amount of this valuable resource. And of course, some of the mineral water is exported, mostly to one country, Russia. In 2024, Georgia sold 141.4 thousand tons of mineral water to its northern neighbor, which accounted for over 50% of the total export of the product. This brought in nearly $77 million. Clearly, the numbers will keep growing because sales of water to Russia in 2024 increased by 24.4% compared to 2023. Georgia also grows a lot of fruits, especially citrus fruits, which are produced in large quantities in this small country. To give you an idea, in 2024, the country managed to harvest over 50,000 tons of citrus fruits. Some of them were sent to the domestic market. It's hard to say that the people of Georgia are refusing fruit for some reason. However, the most important thing is the export. Yes, citrus fruits are yet another gift of nature that brings money to the country. In 2024, the amount of money earned from mandarin oranges reached $6 million. 57% of all citrus fruits were sold to Russia. It's already clear that trade with Russia is a key part of Georgia's economy. But wait, there's more. In 2024, it was reported that the total trade turnover between the two countries reached $2.5 billion, a figure that's 5.4% higher compared to what it was in 2023. If that doesn't sound like something significant for Georgia, here's another fact. Trade with Russia accounts for 8.6% of the country's GDP. Do you know what the problem with these trade relations is? The road that most goods travel on from one country to another. This route has several names: the Georgian Military Road, S3, Mitsketa Stepensminda Larsi. This road is the only land connection between the two countries, so everything going from Georgia to Russia and back has to go along the S3. It's worth mentioning that the road connects not only Georgia and Russia, it's the only route through which Russia can trade goods with Armenia. Plus, S3 is the road used to transport cargo between Russia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. As a result, in 2024, 4.8 million tons of various goods passed through the checkpoint on the S3 highway, located on the border between Russia and Georgia. There's also information that the number of transit trucks, that is, those just passing through Georgia to another country, reached 332,000 in 2021. On average, they transported about 17,000 tons of goods daily. In general, you get the idea. The road is really important for several countries, which earn a lot of money thanks to it. What's the problem? Well, we need to look at what those driving on the S3 highway have to deal with. Yes, it's called a very beautiful road because, see for yourselves, the Caucasus Mountains are a geological formation of incredible beauty. Everything's made even more amazing by historical monuments and living villages. But while driving, you'll have to deal with roads like this. It's dangerous to drive on these roads with a regular car, and with a truck, moving through them probably feels like an extreme sport. Also, when mountains are next to the road, there's a risk that it might get blocked by a landslide. A piece of rock from the mountain could simply fall onto the path, blocking it for a while. Snow can also be the cause that makes a road become a path that can't be used. And in general, mountains are often about unpredictable and bad weather. Check out what kind of trouble's going on with the S3 highway. In 2022, the checkpoint on the Russia-Georgia border was closed due to a landslide on the 33rd mile of the route. In 2017, a landslide with a volume of up to 5,300 cubic feet caused damage to a minibus and a car, leading to restrictions on one of the lanes. In 2014, the checkpoint was closed once again because of a landslide. The rubble reached 65 feet, and the earth slid into the bed of the Terek River, which runs through the mountains. So flooding's also possible in the area. The pipeline through which Armenia received gas from Russia via Georgia was damaged, people were killed, and the total damage to infrastructure was about $3 million. Even the smallest landslides, enough to completely block traffic on the road. We don't even need to mention how bad this is for trade between countries when trucks are stuck waiting to pass for several days. Georgia decided to fix this, so in the Caucasus Mountains, there are now those who know how to make a dangerous path safer and are capable of construction feats. Of course, we're talking about the Chinese. Right now, builders from China Railway Tunnel Group and other companies are working on the Kevsheti-Kobe Road project, which will become a safer detour for the section of the road most prone to landslides and other problems. How are they planning to achieve this? Tunnels. If you watch our videos, you know that the Chinese can't do without them and are building them literally everywhere. There will be 5 safe enclosed passages through the mountain rock. Among them, there are tunnels in the mountains with lengths of 636, 980, 1,270, and 5,000 feet, as well as the main lifesaver for all goods and people, a tunnel 5.6 miles long and 49 feet in diameter. By the way, it's the longest tunnel in Georgia. What did it take to make it? The thing that both we and the builders, particularly the Chinese ones, love so much: a tunnel boring machine. As you can see from the tunnel's diameter, the diameter of the machine is 49 feet. For Georgia, this is a record. Never before has such a giant machine of this type been in use. Yes, there are machines with a diameter that exceeds 56 feet. For example, they were used to create tunnels to Hong Kong International Airport and in many other Chinese projects, so we're still far from world records in terms of size. However, it's claimed that a 49-foot diameter was enough to set another record. It's the largest single-shield tunneling machine ever made for hard rock sections. Looks like records will never end. As the Chinese contractor claims, the machine has also become the fastest. In a month, it moved 1,400 feet forward despite weighing 4,000 tons. The record-breaking machine moved forward quickly. Gravel was being hauled away and the interior was being lined at the same time, which allowed the construction of the mountain path to be finished a month ahead of schedule. Creating a tunnel is quite a complicated task already, but the Chinese in Georgia faced an extra challenge. Most of the rock was made up of marl, a softer substance, and tuff formed from volcanic ash. Yes, all the construction was happening not far from a volcano. And an active one, of course, because if there was any risk of an eruption, the work would have turned from just complicated to something truly insane. But obviously, such close proximity still added extra challenges for the builders. For example, they had to equip the machine with an active joint system, bidirectional rotation of the cutting head, a dual-speed input reducer, and of course the power also had to be up to par. The TBM has a maximum thrust of 22,600 tons and a total power of 9,900 kilowatts. As for the bridges, which are also part of the project, they'll be 1,400, 1,050, 715, 485, and 138 feet long. There's nothing too special about them, but of course each of them will be built to withstand any local weather conditions and emergency situations caused by various collapses. They won't break any records, even though they are being made by the Chinese, who are pretty keen on setting a couple of records in any construction project. Well, they'll still set a record here, since there's the 6th bridge. It's highlighted as the most complicated engineering solution among the other parts of the project because it'll be an arch bridge 1,400 feet long and 545 feet high, and the length of its arch will be 935 feet. Clearly, these specs aren't anything shocking for China, but for Georgia, this will be the first bridge like this. The total length of the road will be 14 miles, and it'll have 2 lanes for traffic paved with asphalt. Yes, 2 asphalt lanes, nothing unusual about that, unless, of course, they're specially made to withstand extreme situations. That's why construction is tough. It's not like building a road on flat land. Here, there might be landslides, and the terrible weather is a common problem. Additionally, as part of the project, they plan to renovate a bridge and build a visitor center. As stated, it'll serve as a potential hub for agribusiness, ecotourism, and community sustainable development within the project area. And the people behind the project also say the center will provide direct benefits to the residents of the Kata Valley. But that's probably not convincing enough for the locals, as they don't see the project as necessary at all. To begin with, the valley area hasn't been studied by archaeologists, but it does contain traces of human activity from the Neolithic era, and right away they're building a tunnel in the mountain which, according to locals and various cultural groups, could lead to the loss of valuable knowledge. Meanwhile, the green groups are speaking up, saying that during the preparation for the project, not only was there no assessment of its impact on cultural heritage, but also no consideration of how the construction would affect local biodiversity and communities. Some of the villagers from Tiscare, which is located right in the valley and is considered the oldest settlement, also expressed quite reasonable concerns about the risk of avalanches due to the vibrations caused during the construction of the main 5.5-mile tunnel. Also, there's worry about the not-so-well-studied Neolithic-era artifacts and the local old buildings built using dry stone construction. Strong vibrations during the construction could lead to cracks or even total collapse. Someone probably felt uncomfortable during the construction of the 5.5-mile tunnel. Perhaps something got damaged. But by April 2024, the mountain road was completed, and now we can say that despite any potential negative effects, the project will turn out to be a truly useful solution for Georgia. First of all, of course, the countries linked by trade through the Georgian Military Road or the S3 highway will get exactly what this whole project was designed for. The weather will have less of an impact on travel, so there will be fewer delays in trade. Once the construction's finished, both locals and tourists traveling to or from Georgia will be pleased. Drivers will be able to get from Kivisheti to Kobe in 15 minutes, which is much less than the hour it currently takes. The capital, Tbilisi, will also be much quicker to reach, as in fact to other cities of the country. The benefit's clear for Georgia and the countries trading via the road, but why does China need all this in the first place? Belt and Road Initiative, that's the answer to this question, or the New Silk Road if we want to be less formal. It's an initiative China took on in 2013. This is a geopolitical project consisting of 6 land development corridors connected by road, rail, energy, and digital infrastructure. Moreover, it's a central element of Xi Jinping's foreign policy. There are many different definitions, but they all point to the same thing. It's a global and very important undertaking. Right now, the Belt and Road Initiative has created infrastructure corridors covering about 60 countries, mostly in Asia and Europe. For example, there's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is considered the most developed corridor of the project as of 2024. Just think about it. That the total cost of various transport projects across Pakistan is about $62 billion. Georgia is also a member of the initiative, just like all the other countries that'll trade along the route currently being built. The country is literally the place where East meets West in the shortest way, so China is seriously focused on participating in Georgia's infrastructure transformation. In the long run, this will bring them money and further strengthen their influence on the world stage. There's another infrastructure project in Georgia, which has what you might call a Chinese fingerprint. It's the port of Anaklia, which is supposed to give a big boost to the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route. Here's what the route looks like. From Chinese cities, the railway goes to Kazakhstan, then across the territory to the Caspian Sea, where the cargo is transferred to ferries. Then Azerbaijan, Georgia, and after that, either another railway route through Turkey or a sea route across the Black Sea. This is exactly the route for which a port is planned to be built in Anaklia. It's claimed that the port will be the largest infrastructure investment in Georgia's history, as the first stage alone already required an investment of $600 million. This money's going toward designing and building the marine part of the port. The Belgian group Jan de Nul has been working on this since September 2024. Right now, their workers have filled the waters with specialized ships that are carrying out dredging work. In other words, the area around the port is being deepened since Anaklia will need to accommodate vessels of enormous size. No, not the biggest ones in the world that can pass through the Suez Canal. Container ships with a draft of more than 65 feet pass through there. According to the plan, the dredging will be carried out to a depth that will allow the port to accept post-Panamax ships, that is, those over 965 feet long, over 106 feet wide, and most importantly, with a draft of more than 43 feet. The amount of cargo passing through the port on these container ships will reach massive scales. At the first stage, the number of containers passing through Anaklia will hit 600,000, and if we put that into tons, the port will be able to handle 7 million tons of cargo. The planned capacity of the port in Anaklia will be 100 times bigger than the total volume that all current port facilities in Georgia handle. That is 100 million tons per year. Of course, the price won't be $600 million anymore, but $2 billion, and it looks like a project the country definitely needs. It's clear that this will allow for more revenue from trade and generate money from cargo transit. And of course, Georgia's influence on the global stage will increase significantly, along with stronger ties to the countries connected by the corridor. What's China got to do with it? Part of the funding is covered by a Chinese-Singaporean consortium led by China Communications Construction Company. The consortium has already carried out several infrastructure projects in Georgia, including the construction of the East-West Highway. One might think that, in this case, Georgia should be confident about the success of such cooperation, but that's not the case. The work on other projects was marked by delays, poor quality, labor rights violations, and much higher costs. Plus, the U.S. and the World Bank imposed sanctions on China Communications Construction Company for similar practices in other countries. As long as the work is going smoothly and no problems are reported, this sounds great for Georgia and the other countries that'll benefit from the new port. We'll keep an eye on the situation because the project looks like something that'll change the dynamics of the region.